Courtrooms can often feel like stages for drama, where the real story gets overshadowed. From unruly family members to defendants who simply don't live in our reality.
Do not tell me to shut up! I am the living natural man, and my voice will be heard.
Some young offenders will totally surprise you with their actions and behavior in court. But the real show stealers are the judges.
When did you become an illegal alien?
Sit down. If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat your ass.
You won't believe some of the things that happen in court. It feels more like a reality TV show than a legal drama. In this video, we're diving into 20 of the most jaw-dropping moments ever caught on camera in the courtroom. Penelope Soto. On February 4th, 2013, 18-year-old Penelope Soto from Florida showed up in a Miami courtroom for a hearing regarding her drug possession case. Judge Jorge Rodriguez Chomat inquired about her financial situation to determine her bond amount.
How much money are you making a week, approximately?
Approximately about $200 a week.
Okay, and do you own any property of value, a house, a car, a bank account, significant amounts of jewelry?
Yes.
How much would you say your jewelry is worth? It's not a joke, you know. We are not in a club now.
Okay, but it's
we are not in a club. Be serious about it.
I'm serious about it.
You're being very. I can see you're serious, all right.
You just made me laugh. I apologize.
It's all right. How much is your jewelry worth?
It's worth a lot of money.
Like what?
Like Rick Ross.
Huh?
Rodriguez Chomat originally set Soto's bond at $5,000, but later bumped it up to $10,000. Soto reacted by cursing and giving him the finger. This led Rodriguez Chomat to find her in contempt of court, resulting in a 30-day jail sentence. When Soto returned to court on February 8th, she was emotional, apologizing, and admitting she had been under the influence of Xanax and alcohol during the first hearing. The judge accepted her apology, acknowledged her willingness to enter a drug treatment program, and dropped the contempt charges, lifting her jail sentence. On March 1st, Soto had a status hearing with a different judge, Jeffrey Rosenek. He commended her for passing 8 drug tests and attending all her counseling sessions. Because of this, Soto avoided jail time and was released on the condition that she complete a drug court program. In Soto's situation, it seems like the judge made a solid decision. However, the next judge's ruling stirred up some debate. Judge James Convery. At a court hearing, Judge James Convery questioned Yvette Ramos Alvarez, a Hispanic lawyer and the former president of the Hispanic Bar Association of New Jersey, about why her client hadn't submitted his yearly Social Security statement. Alvarez clarified that neither she nor her client had gotten those statements in the past few years.
Social Security sends it to your home
They do.
every year.
They sent it to my home 4 years ago. I haven't received it in the last 3.
Judge Convery then made racist remarks, which were caught on video.
When did you become an illegal alien?
Judge,
It comes to you.
Judge, I am going to, that was a totally inappropriate comment.
I didn't mean it. I'm only. Listen to me.
Alvarez walked out of the courtroom and lodged a complaint with the Advisory Committee on Judicial Conduct. The Hispanic Bar Association of New Jersey, under the leadership of President Milagros Camacho, staged a protest and called for Chief Justice Stuart Rabner to take action. Consequently, Convery found himself under an ethics investigation and received a reprimand from the Advisory Committee on Judicial Conduct. Judge Murphy might have some questionable views that hint at racism, but I'm not sure about the next one. Maybe you can figure it out. John Murphy and Andrew Weinstock. On June 2, 2014, things got pretty wild in Brevard County Court when Judge John Murphy clashed with public defender Andrew Weinstock. The whole mess kicked off when Weinstock wouldn't back down on his client's right to a speedy trial, leading to a fiery exchange. Judge Murphy lost his cool and even threatened to toss a rock at Weinstock, demanding he take a seat and let the judge take charge.
You know, if I had a rock, I would throw it at you right now.
You know, this is
Stop pissing me off. Just sit down. I'll take care of it. I don't need your help.
No, you know what? I'm the public defender. I have a right to be here, and I have a right to stand and represent
sit
my
down.
clients.
Weinstock held his ground, insisting he had the right to represent his clients. But Murphy wasn't backing down and called the lawyer out for a fight.
Sit down. If you want to fight, let's go out back and I'll just beat your ass.
After they stepped out of the courtroom, Murphy and Weinstock got into a heated argument in the hallway. Murphy challenged Weinstock, asking if he was looking for a fight, and things escalated from there. Weinstock claimed Murphy hit him twice in the face, while Murphy insisted that Weinstock landed a punch in his chest. A deputy had to step in to break them apart. Meanwhile, back in the courtroom, the audience was clapping and laughing as Judge Murphy caught his breath and made a light-hearted comment about his age. Eventually, the Florida Supreme Court decided to remove him from his position, labeling the whole situation as a disgrace to the state's judicial system. The next entry involves one of the most peculiar defendants ever seen in the courtroom. Lance Dyer. In May 2014, 16-year-old Lance Dyer took off in a car, sparking a police chase. When he finally ditched the car, he ran away on foot and aimed a loaded gun at the officers.
Anything more serious than someone pointing a loaded weapon at a police officer. You are lucky to be standing here in front of me today instead of being on the ground.
For these actions, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. After the sentencing, Dyer's sister erupted in the courtroom, cursing and resisting officers who tried to remove her. She was expelled for the rest of the trial but faced no charges. Dyer's mother maintains his innocence, believing he should be considered innocent until proven guilty.
I still don't believe that he pointed a gun at a police officer because my son would be dead. You know, police officers don't shoot warning shots. They are trained to shoot to kill. So if you're trying to shoot to kill, then if my son pointed a 9mm at you twice, why isn't my son dead?
The next entry could be the most dramatic courtroom moment in history. Michael Bachmann. On September 4th, 2018, Judge Michael Bachmann from the Hamilton County Common Pleas Court in Ohio chased after Cassandra Jackson in the hallway outside the courtroom. Jackson had tried to file a protection order but didn't make the deadline. Frustrated, she started yelling, which threw off the court proceedings. Judge Bachmann mentioned that the commotion made it hard to hear an attorney who was questioning a witness. Bachmann left his seat and chased Jackson, insisting she return to the courtroom. He caught up with her at the elevators, guided her back by her neck and shoulder, and then sentenced her to 3 days in jail for contempt of court because of her disruptive behavior. Jackson fought back during her arrest, leading Judge Bachmann to extend her sentence to a week. However, another judge let her go after only 2 days. Once the video of the incident was released, Judge Bachmann decided to step down, claiming he had to pick between resigning or getting fired. He denied any allegations of choking or mishandling Jackson, insisting he only raised his hand to guide her to the courtroom. The following entry centers around a convict who desired the death penalty. Scott Nelson. Scott Nelson was convicted of murdering 56-year-old Jennifer Fulford during a 2017 robbery in Winter Park. During sentencing, witnesses, including doctors and family members, testified against him, and a prison warden discussed his conflicts with inmates. The jury had to decide between life in prison or the death penalty. At one point, Nelson interrupted the prosecutor while questioning a witness about his use of racial slurs in jail.
Take a moment with your attorneys. Hold on, sir. Sir. Members of the jury. Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson.
During his trial's sentencing phase, Nelson got into a heated argument with his lawyers and the judge. The judge warned Nelson that he would be removed from the courtroom if he didn't quiet down. Nelson voiced his concerns about the fairness of the trial, but the judge pointed out that he had a lawyer to help him. At one point, Nelson mentioned wanting the death penalty and shared his experiences from being in jail.
Turned me into an animal. I've been beaten. I've been chained to beds for days at a rip. I've been locked in cells that are so stifling hot. I have flashbacks to this very day. I've had cockroaches running over my body. I've been beaten. I've been raped. I've been everything in prison.
Nelson was, however, sentenced to life instead of the death penalty he desired. This next case ended with the death penalty, but not before the person managed to pull off something truly astonishing. Ted Bundy. In 1980, while Ted Bundy was on trial for murder in Orlando, Florida, he shocked everyone by proposing to his girlfriend Carol Ann Boone right there in the courtroom. Bundy was representing himself in court, and Boone was there to vouch for his character. They had crossed paths years before when she was employed at the Department of Emergency Services in Olympia, Washington. The situation was pretty unique due to a little-known law in Florida. This law states that if a couple makes a formal declaration in front of court officials, it counts as a legal marriage. So, by doing this, they were officially hitched. Boone made sure a notary public was on hand to legitimize their marriage in the courtroom. Unfortunately, Bundy was found guilty again and sentenced to death. Boone held on to her belief in his innocence for a long time and stood by him even after his sentencing. They had a daughter named Rose, who was reportedly conceived during visits while Bundy was on death row. However, they ended up divorcing in 1986, just 3 years before Bundy was executed in 1989. After that, Boone and her daughter left Florida and pretty much disappeared from the spotlight. The next entry tells the story of a couple who fainted upon hearing their fate. Shanita Cunningham and Erica Butts. On November 3, 2011, Shanita Cunningham and Erica Butts broke down in court after receiving life sentences for murdering 3-year-old Serenity Richardson.
And as such, the court finds it appropriate that each be sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of life. You will get credit for any of the time that you've
Butts was looking after Serenity while her mom, Yeshia Richardson, moved from Detroit. At that time, Butts and Cunningham were living together. Butts admitted to hitting Serenity for having an accident on the floor, and medical staff found bruises and cuts all over the little girl. Both women faced charges for child abuse homicide. Butts took an Alford plea, claiming she was innocent, but recognizing the chance of being found guilty. Cunningham admitted to the crime. Serenity endured regular beatings with a belt and plastic hangers. Assistant Solicitor Elizabeth Gordon highlighted the severe injuries, noting that almost every part of the child's body was hurt except for the bottoms of her feet. When Serenity stopped responding, Butts and Cunningham attempted to revive her by putting bleach under her nose and ice on her body. Eventually, Butts called her mom, who then contacted 911. Paramedics arrived too late. Serenity had already passed away. Circuit Court Judge Deidre Richardson expressed that she had never been so moved as when she saw the photos of the girl's badly injured body. While the sentencing left Butts and Cunningham devastated, the next step aims to make a lasting impression on the judge and the victim's family. Bryce Rhodes. Bryce Rhodes faced charges for 3 murders. Prior to these incidents, he had a track record of domestic violence, burglary, robbery, and various other offenses. He was on probation for domestic assault back in 2013 and 2014. During his murder trial, Rhodes often acted unpredictably. He regularly directed threats and accusations at judges, lawyers, and court personnel. Here are a few highlights of his notable interactions and behaviors. In this video, he can be seen provoking the parents of the victims. He continued to upset them and also exchanged words with the judge.
Smiling. I don't know why you're smiling.
Because I can.
Well?
Because I can. It's not a crime to smile.
Rhodes called out Judge Charles Cunningham for being racist and alleged that he was secretly part of the Ku Klux Klan. He also claimed that the judge and the prosecutor were involved in a sexual relationship.
Are you some type of racist? Are you got some type of sexual relationship going on? Which one is it? Are you a secret Ku Klux Klan member?
Rhodes also showed aggressive behavior towards his attorney, Brendan McLeod, even spitting on him during a hearing. As a result of his erratic behavior, Rhodes was restrained in court with a spit mask and strapped to a chair. Rhodes was found guilty on all counts, including the murders of Christopher Jones, Larry Ordway, and Maurice Gordon, as well as tampering with evidence and abusing corpses. He received a life sentence without parole. Judge Kalin emphasized the importance of providing closure to those affected and expressed satisfaction that justice was served, acknowledging the jury's crucial role in the verdict. The next entry resembles Rhodes's case, but features a more fiery judge. Judge McBain and Camia Gamet. Camia Gamet was convicted of murdering her boyfriend, Marcel Hill, in 2012 in Jackson, Mississippi, inflicting 11 injuries through stabbing and blunt force trauma. While she claimed self-defense, the prosecution argued she used multiple weapons, including a fillet knife, a broken floor lamp, and a frying pan. Judge McBain described the killing and sentenced Gamet to life in prison with no chance of parole.
Stabbed him no less than 12 times. You know what? I was the only one in the courtroom that knew what kind of knife that was. And it was a big old long fillet knife. You gutted him like a fish in that apartment too. You were relentless. You stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed, you stabbed until he was dead.
Gamet argued that she was just defending herself and thought Hill was a stranger trying to harm her. She insisted that she had feelings for Hill and that her conviction was based on falsehoods. She mentioned that she plans to appeal the decision.
I agree with the family. I hope you die in prison as well. You know, and if this was a death penalty state, you'd be getting the chair. You have 42 days to appeal my sentence.
During Camia Gamut's sentencing hearing, she rudely interrupted Diana Banks Joyner, the aunt of Marcel Hill, while she was sharing an emotional statement. Gamut laughed and sarcastically questioned, "Is that it?" This infuriated Judge John McBain, who threatened to tape her mouth shut to keep her quiet. The exchange in the courtroom left the audience stunned and upset Hill's family. Outside the courtroom, Diana Banks Joyner said they witnessed the true Camia that day. Barbara Johnson, Hill's cousin, noted that Camia showed no remorse and seemed indifferent. The family felt relieved and grateful for the sentence, expressing their thankfulness and feeling blessed to have received what they hoped for. The next entry is a judge who wants nothing but to sentence a killer to jail. Judge McBain and Marlon Thomas Jr.
I don't care what the sentencing guidelines say, you're going to prison.
Marlon Thomas Jr. was convicted of second-degree murder for the shooting death of 20-year-old Rakiesh Brown on June 22, 2013, in Jackson, Michigan. Both were involved in the marijuana trade, and witnesses, including Brown's 9-year-old cousin, saw Thomas fleeing the scene while firing shots. Thomas received the maximum sentence of 25 to 50 years, plus an additional 2 years for using a gun. Judge McBain stated that Thomas would not be eligible for parole until nearly 50, and warned that any misconduct in prison could extend his sentence into his 70s. McBain emphasized the seriousness of gun-related cases, which often lead to homicides.
But I want to explain to you a little bit why I'm going to select the sentence that I selected. Number one, back when I was county prosecutor, I always had a saying, you show me a criminal that commits a crime with a gun, and I'll show you a homicide waiting to happen.
Painted Thomas as just another street tough, always packing heat and involved in pointless killings.
I argued in front of countless juries. And you're exactly the kind of street thug that carries a gun and a homicide happens.
McBain noted that Thomas shot someone over minor drug deals, firing a second shot that killed the victim despite children being nearby. While Judge McBain didn't hold back on Thomas, the following entry is another judge who got intimidated by the defendant. Bass Webb. Bass Webb made headlines when he appeared in court for attempted murder charges and spat at Judge Vanessa Dixon. The whole thing was caught on video and spread all over the news. As a result, Webb faced additional charges for intimidating a judicial officer. During a later competency hearing, Webb showed up with a mesh mask to stop him from spitting again. He was dealing with several criminal charges and trials. Specifically, he was charged with third-degree assault and labeled a first-degree persistent felony offender for spitting on Officer Roy Compston at the Fayette County Jail. Webb got hit with a guilty verdict, bumping his sentence up to 10 years. On top of that, he was already doing 15 years for attacking a corrections officer in Fayette County and had a hefty 50-year sentence for the murder of his ex-girlfriend, Bria Runiewicz, in Harrison County. Additionally, in 2009, he received a 37-year sentence for trying to run over 2 county jail employees. That's for today's video. See you in the next.